case for political careers. You know, when I go to schools and I ask students what they want to be, everyone wants to be a doctor, accountant, lawyer, engineer, teacher. You'll hardly hear anybody saying, I want to be a politician. Why is that? I mean, if all the good people are going to be doctors, lawyers, accountants, engineers, well, who's going into parliament? You know, who's going to represent you and make decisions on behalf of you and your children? Think about it. So I'm making a case here for a career in politics, okay? Because everyone talks about politics and it's a dirty world. It's a terrible place. All types of corrupt people go in there, you know, and they slither around and do things. It's quite confusing sometimes. You see the circus, you see the zoo, animals and creatures, clowns. Who knows? Sometimes when you look from the outside, it looks like this. And it'll discourage a lot of people from thinking about a career in politics. They'll be like, I don't want to go and be part of that. It's crazy. Camps here, camps there, you know, kidnapping. When I got up on water this morning, one of my friends said, oh, you're escaping from Alcatraz. I said, no, it's not like that. You know, we're the government, we're in retreat. Because that's what we decided to do. When our friends decided to camp in Bunnymoor, I don't know why they went to Bunnymoor, because they missed out on a very important parliament session, but anyway, I won't go into that. No one told them to go there. Our Prime Minister said, you know what, let's go and retreat and review what we have done for the last year and a half, and see how we can improve, see what we can do. So that's what we have been doing. And in between those moments of retreats, we have been taking time out to go to our provinces, districts, carry on with work. I just came back from home, and I will be going probably on Tuesday or Wednesday. So we are continuing to work, and we appeal to our friends at the hotel down there. I almost said something else, but Crown Plaza. And we appeal to them to, you know, continue with their work. But all this basically paints a terrible picture of politics. And so a lot of people, a lot of young people don't want to think about a career in politics. And if you go home, I can assure you, if you go and tell your mom and dad, you'll say, you know what, I'm planning to be a politician, they'll demand a refund straight away. Pay me back all my school fees. It's not what I funded you to go and get an education for. The fact of the matter is, we need good people in Parliament, critical mass.
Amen.
You see, in Parliament, and I'm going to offend a lot of my fellow colleagues in there, but we have leaders and we have politicians. They're two different things. Two different things. And we also have some pets in there. It's true. When you identify them and you find their leash and you follow it, you find whoever owns them. Some corporation, some logging cartel. This is the problem. But I can tell you the greater majority of people in Parliament do want to do good for their districts and provinces. When we get in there, we have no idea what we're in for. We come in there idealistic and saying we're going to change things. But we get in there and we find out that it's very different. And what I've seen and what I realized is that eventually you need a good group of very strong-minded people, patriots, who are going to say, you know, we're going to stand on these principles and not be moved and focus on building a nation that's actually free, that's truly independent, because we are not independent. And you may say, well, what happened in 1975, 16 September? Well, that wasn't real independence, that's political independence, that's something different. Political independence is easily given. It's just a piece of paper, and someone else comes and says, there you are, you're free now, you can go have your own parliament, make your own decisions, pay for your own costs. That's political independence. True independence is economic independence. Owning the rights to develop these resources that you have so that you can benefit from them. And to be able to do that, you need laws that you own. Your laws. Because these laws weren't created for you. They were created by the powers that be at that time. And they created those laws for themselves, for their greater benefit, not for you. So you'll have to create create your own laws. Once you have your own laws for the development of your resources, then you can ensure that those resources benefit you and your economy. And then one day, you can say, look, I own a fish cannery, I own a timber processing mill, I own a gas processing facility,
Amen.
I own an oil rig. When you say this, then you're independent.
Amen.
We can't say this now.
Amen.
Well, how do we get there? You need a critical mass of leaders. So I'm making a case for, I'm trying to recruit here. Some of you might be able to get in there and make a difference. You know. Just a few words. You know, I didn't graduate, by the way, I must confess. I was at University of Papua New Guinea during the period 92 to 95. Very terrible period. You know, it's a dark place. It's a dark place because everyone just drank beer and ran around, had fun, nobody went to class. That's how it seemed anyway. And that's not true. That was just my friends and I. And as a result, I was asked to leave and go into something else. Because I was not wanted in that university, that institution. So I left. And it was actually the best thing that ever happened to me. It was. Because then I really started to learn things, you know. Because in there, it was really perfect. You had a mess, you had food, you had, everything was there. And I lived under this false impression that life is going to be great. There's always people taking care of me, somehow. But when they kicked me out of there, or when they asked me to leave, it's a better word, or better thing to say, I went out and I had no job, no income, you know, and suddenly it dawned on me that, my goodness, life isn't as easy as I thought when I was in university. And this is going to happen to you from time to time. There will be doors closing in your life. But if you look around, you'll find windows opening too. And that's what happened. I went out, I had nothing, but I eventually started looking and there were windows there. And that will present itself, this type of situation will present itself to you from time to time, where there will be all these bad things happening, but don't focus on all the bad things that happen. Focus instead on what good is happening. Look for those windows. Be flexible. Found out a lot of my colleagues, when they graduated and came out, I was already working. And they were all looking for high-paying jobs because they had a certificate, a diploma, or a degree, and they were very proud of it. And they thought that they were entitled to amazing positions. The world doesn't owe you anything. You have to understand this. You are not entitled to anything. You think you are, but you're not. It is a very hard lesson that you have to learn and learn it as quickly as possible. And so a lot of my colleagues spent a lot of time looking for jobs because they wanted to have a job that specifically said must have a degree, diploma, whatever. And they also made the mistake of not learning. And this is where I go back to where I said the best thing that happened to me was to be kicked out of university. Because that's when I really started to learn. And I never stopped. See, I always had a chip on my shoulder. Every time I see my mates, I feel a bit, nervous, anxious. That they knew more than I did. So I tried to catch up. And so I made an effort to work hard as possible in anything I could do. And I learned, I read, I studied. And I started to realize that, meanwhile, a lot of my friends, not all of them, but quite a few of them, had become so comfortable with their degree, diploma, certificate, doctorate, that they stopped learning. Because they thought they knew everything. This helps, but this doesn't mean you know everything. So never stop learning. And right now you're very fortunate because with this, you have your university right there. You can learn anything, from how to change a tire, how to farm, quantum physics, whatever you want to learn, all here, in a heartbeat, in an instant. If you've got to be grateful for this opportunity. And here's another thing that I want to talk to you about, being grateful. Many times we move around thinking about all the things we don't have, and we forget about the things that we do have. We forget to be grateful. We forget about our family, our friends, the fact that we have a roof over our head, the fact that you can hear, see, talk, walk, live in this wonderful world, participate. Always remember there are people out there who do not have what you have, who would give anything to have a fraction of what you have. Amen. There are countries where there are people who are not free, where children cannot go outside because there are bombs being dropped right out in their front yard, where people go to a birthday or a wedding and are absolutely blown to smithereens. Civil war, civil strife, poverty. It's real. And it's happening somewhere in this part of the world. And you're fortunate that it is not happening to you. So be grateful for what you do have. Be mindful where you are. Do not go about moaning and groaning and whining about what you don't have to such a degree that you forget about what you have, the blessings you have. Yeah. Here's something I would also like to just slip in there. Always fact check. Always question. Okay, especially now we're now moving on from the information age to the misinformation age. Okay? I'm becoming an expert in that because I'm in that part of the sector where misinformation is always at play. And people will distort things and they will say this and that. But you always have to question. You always have to ask for evidence. You always have to ask for the facts. Verify before you believe anything. Always verify. Always question. Throughout your life, make this one of your fundamental principles that will guide you through life. Always question. Manage your health. The health of your body, your mind, and your soul. Nobody's going to do this for you. Nobody says, you know what, John, you're very busy today, so I'm going to go and be in the hospital with malaria on your behalf while you go and do whatever you want to do. No, it cannot happen. That's your health. You've got to take care of your body, the temple of God that He has gifted you with, an amazing gift that you have. The best asset that you will ever have. Look after it. Be careful what you do with it. When you consume food, drinks, make sure that it's what was designed for you. Okay? You wouldn't put sand in a petrol tank when you try to drive your car. You wouldn't put sugar in the oil receptacle and you expect the engine to function. So why would you do it to your body? There's a lot of things that we consume that are not good for us, but we just do it because our friends do it. We think it's cool. Look after your body. It's the only body you ever have. You can't go anywhere and say, you know what, I'm tired of this body. I want a brand new body. Give me a new one. How much is it? It can't happen. This is the only body you have. Same with your mind. And you need to look after that too. Your mind can create the greatest opportunities for you in this world. And you are limited only by your imagination. You can be anything you want. Anything you want. Your soul. Be careful with that. Be careful with who you surround yourself with. There will be a lot of people that are going to turn up and be cannot do type people. They will always tell you, you can't do this, you can't do that, this is not good for you, this is not good for them. They're toxic people. You want to avoid those type of people because they'll take away bits and pieces of your soul. They'll eat up your time. They'll encourage you to think that you can't. You have to have a mindset that says, I can. Not I can't. I can. I can tell you that mindset is very powerful. I was in Lane. I'd moved down from Hagen one night. My mother, single mother, and my stepfather, for whatever reason, decided that we would leave Hagen. The middle of the night. Nobody told me this. We just caught a P&B, threw everything on the P&B, and we went to Lake. I left my dog behind. Broke my heart. You know? It's sad. Because no one told me I was going to leave him behind. I never had a chance to say goodbye to my friends. You know? I just packed up and left. And went to Lake. I was there for about a year and a half. And then my mother sent me home to Kokoda. Go and stay home for 3 weeks. You know how long I stayed there? 3 years. 3 weeks turned out to be 3 years. I walked 2 hours to my community school every day. No power, no TV, just me and my grandmother. And most times we didn't have a decent meal. You know, many years later I asked my mother, I said, what happened? Why did you send me home? Did I do something wrong? And she said, no, I had a car accident. And I had injured myself to such a degree that I had to recover, rehabilitate. I had to be checked into a hospital and slowly get back on my feet. I forgot your name. So I was sent home for 3 weeks and stayed there for 3 years. You know? But here I am. You know, there were 3 very challenging years. But you make it through life. You know, you have a positive mindset. You look after yourself. There were also 3 good years. You know, I was with my grandmother, who was one of the toughest women I had ever seen. She was only 5 foot tall. That's it. But she was a giant. You know, all the people, all the men around our little block of coffee were frightened of her. I'd never seen a woman spear a pig. My grandmother did. Not once, regularly. She was a very fierce woman, you know, and she was very outspoken. And she had a very positive mindset. And I was very fortunate to grow up in her presence for those 3 years. You know. So you make the best of what life throws at you. You take advantage of those circumstances. You learn, you be flexible, you know. And it may be difficult, it may be hard, but you'll get over it. It doesn't rain every day. It'll stop raining. It'll be a nice sunny day tomorrow. You know. As I said, nothing stops you from being great but your own lack of imagination. Nothing also stops you from contributing to your country, to your district, to your province, to your world. To your world because you are a global citizen. That's right. The advancements in technology are taking place so quickly that you're no longer just a citizen of Papua New Guinea, Fiji, Samoa, wherever you might come from, Solomon Islands, but you're a citizen of this world. And this world needs you. This world. The only world we have, by the way. And they're very powerful forces that are threatening this world. In the way they act and behave, they carry on with very little regard to the environment, to our future. But we need to change the way we think about that. Life is not only about the profit margins. Life is not only about making money and buying fancy things that we don't really need. Life is more than that. And here we have the greatest work of art created by the greatest artists ever. And how are we looking after that? I just want to leave this discussion with that in your mind. I hope what I've said to you has been useful in some way. I hope that you get out there and achieve what you can achieve, what you will achieve. Be a can person. Be a lot of can love people. You'll see them everywhere. When you see them, avoid them. Okay? If you can't avoid them, then just manage them so you spend as little time as possible with them. Okay? I know because I've got a lot of catalog people around me in power. Finally, I want to say, if you have a dream, never let it die.
Amen.
Never let the dream die. Don't let anyone kill your dream. It's your dream. You get out there, make it happen. And you can, and all the tools to make it happen are within you. Within you. Thank you very much for having me turn up and share a few thoughts with you. I'm always available, PAU. If you have events that